ask for a moment of silence.
I'd like to add to the moment of silence, just to give an intention tonight to Hedda Syvertson. She's the 14-year-old Morris Township girl who is still suffering from brain cancer and going into her third session of chemotherapy. So if you could keep her in mind, I'd appreciate it.
Oh, at this time, I also like to take a moment to offer condolences to Councilman Robert Iacone, who lost his mom just about, was it a week ago, Bob?
Last week.
Last week. So I ask that we keep his mom in our prayers, and just a moment of silence for Beatrice Iacone.
Council President, also Elaine McIntosh, my neighbor for many, many years, been Morristown resident for a long time, passed away from a tragic accident in Virginia on a fall, and she passed away. So her funeral was the other day. We'd like to keep her and her family in our thoughts and prayers.
At this time, I'd like to ask that we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. We have no items this evening on the consent agenda. So now we'll move on to our public hearing session. If there are any members of the public wishing to be heard tonight, please come forward, state your name, address, and try to keep your comments short of 5 minutes, please. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Win Kung. I'm at 16B Lathrop Ave in Madison. The reason I'm here today is because I'm on the steering committee and one of the 11 host organizations for the Women's March on New Jersey 2018. And I am so excited to be here to offer my thanks and to represent our host committee. This march could not have happened if it wasn't for the mayor, you all, and especially the chief of police and the police department and NJDOT. We have been so thrilled and so thankful for everybody working with us to make this happen. Starting with over Christmas, I worked with Chief Demnitz to secure the permit, which we realized that was critical and needed. So he was patient enough to work with us on that one. And then Bill Hayden with NJDOT was spectacular working with me, and Jillian, business administrator, was so wonderful with writing approval letters, and Sergeant Labar was also working overtime with the approval letter. We actually got the permit in record time, and we are just so thankful for that. I hope you all had heard good comments and good feedback from the community. We really, really did. We also want to thank the sponsors and all the businesses that sponsored the march. This was a 100% volunteer effort. We all put in hundreds and donated hundreds of hours, and we were going to self-finance it, but thankfully we reached out to many sponsors, many businesses, and people who willingly donated $200, $500, and they gave to the cause. So we are just so thankful for that. And so on behalf of the Women's March on New Jersey 2018 Steering Committee, we just want to take time to thank Morristown, the town of Morristown. We've really thought that it brought the community together, and it really was great for the state of New Jersey that this town being the site of the revolution, that this happened, and we're hopeful that you guys will see the positive effects of it after the march. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm Debbie McCumber. I was also one of the organizers of the march representing the League of Women Voters. And I've been in Morristown, worked and lived here for 30 years or so. Always thought it was an amazing place. Always found it a great place to work in and live in. And this just proved it more. The mayor was fabulous working with us, Jillian, Kristen Wetterbaum, Byrne, the chief, particularly Sergeant Labar and Captain Richardson. They just couldn't do enough to support what we wanted to accomplish, and we were all on the same team working together. And we also just would like to say that we know that it also cost a lot to do these kinds of things, even though I do feel the businesses, for the most part, probably benefited. They did have a good day, and they were very supportive also. But we will be making a contribution of about $10,000 towards all the costs, and also a small amount to the trustees, to the Green. So we're just really excited about what had happened, and maybe we can do it again.
Can we just get your address for the record, please? I'm sorry.
2 Edge Hill Avenue, Morris Township.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to be heard? Oh, Billy.
Billy.
Hi, Billy.
My name is Bill Byrne, and I live at 100 Franklin Street. And I'm here to talk about, again, the lights over the bridge. Before it was like the other side working, now it's both sides out, it's pitch black. And I don't know what's going on, but something gotta be done. Thankfully, I have a little flashlight, so it doesn't bother me, but it's gonna bother a lot of other people, especially doctors, when they have to walk back and forth from their house or to their job or whatever, you know. So just really doing another shout out again. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy.
Council President? Billy, is that the bridge that the first bridge before the beginning of the hospital?
The mayor actually, the lights went out right where they put the new building. And I think what we have to do is just get, if you could, Anthony, just get PSE&G or JC.
JC Pinell, I'm texting them right now.
Just have them check all those lights, because I think it was associated with the construction of the new hospital building.
All right, thanks, Billy.
Marge?
Just text Rob.
Margaret Brady, 1 Franklin Place. Just first, I want to congratulate you all and welcome you. And since it's not an election year, you have 2 whole years where this same group can work together and form new committees and have enough time to do a lot of the important projects that have been neglected in the past election frenzies. So I just want to highlight a few, but first I have to back up Billy. When I walked to Town Hall, which I was afraid to tonight, because the entrance to this parking lot on Franklin Street has no lights. It's totally black, and when you go through the pedestrian entrance, which is closer to Hamilton Road, you come to the end of the path, which goes in about 20 feet, and then there's nothing. And there's a lot of potholes, and it's black, and the pedestrian walkway isn't marked, and it's a main walkway for a lot of people who go to Kings or travel through the lot as a shortcut to get from Franklin Street to South Street. Some of the other highlights I'd like you to consider over the years, the next 2 years, is one, I noted that the redevelopment zones that were initiated in 2011 and 2010 have not, some of them haven't even been designated for what they are, so I don't know if they're even legal anymore because you never developed a plan for those particular zones. And other ones need to be updated because there's been work done. And one of the things I noticed when I was checking, and I have to thank, you can go to the town website and get to the zoning ordinance. So you can find out everything just using your computer. And I noticed that the Morris Street redevelopment zone, not only just the zone, but any residential zone in Morristown prohibits warehouses. And one of the big problems in our neighborhood is everybody is very upset about a proposed warehouse on Morris Street next to the newly redeveloped residential housing that the neighbors fought so long to get. And then another thing, since 1977, there was a report done citing the need for a new firehouse in Morristown, giving all the reasons why the Speedwell Avenue firehouse was not adequate and why there was a desperate need for a new firehouse, preferably in the First Ward near the old humane antique firehouse that is no longer structurally capable of holding any new equipment. And it might be several of the sites that they recommended over the years were developed by the hospital and for other uses. So it might be a good time to establish a subcommittee to look into the need to have where the firehouse should go. I don't think we need less fire protection, and I don't think that the need for that fire protection has decreased since 1977. So it would be nice if, now that you have a little time and you have a solid group, you could look into it. And a quickie, when I checked the historic sites list on the town website, I noticed that it continues to omit mention of the historic Willow Hall, which is a prominent Morristown historic site. So I'd still like to have that added. Thank you.
Thank you, Marge. Any other members of the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion. Would you like to, Mayor, address any of the comments from public person? No?
When it's my, is it my
No, well, I don't know if you wanted to sometimes.
council first?
Okay. All right, moving on to any council responses for the public? Anybody wishing to address any in the public comments?
For just on the redevelopment zones, will some of that be addressed when we do the new zoning ordinance with the form-based code? I mean, maybe that's the question. Because, and I do vaguely remember that redevelopment zones are supposed to be reviewed every so many years as a matter of regulation also. So maybe it's not a bad idea to take up the issue of looking at the redevelopment zones and whether or not they still need to be redevelopment zones. And the reverse of that, are there areas of town in need of redevelopment that maybe should be designated as redevelopment zones? But maybe at the next meeting, get a report back from the planner as to what the process might be and take a look at it. The second point that Ms. Brady brought up with reference to, I think the application with reference to the storage facility will play its course, and whether or not it's permitted will come out in that review. But, you know, the concept of a new firehouse, I don't know, Mayor, that's something maybe you'd be interested in putting a group together to take a look at.
The only thing I'll address is you're absolutely correct that storage facility will go forward in front of you, and you guys will make your decision based on the presentation of that project. The second thing is, as far as a new firehouse, I'm not sure that's where we're going to put a new firehouse, but I can look at it, talk to the fire chief, get some information. The third thing is I'll have Phil do a full report for the council on redevelopment zones, the law, and areas that he think, which is a really good point to bring up, because there may be some areas that we're not even looking at, that could be areas in need of rehabilitation or redevelopment. We've talked about that internally, about the, about designating several areas in rehabilitation, and some issues that could help fray some tax increases on the homeowners. We're not there yet. We don't want to present it and be too early. But rehabilitation is something we're seriously discussing internally inside in the administration. And we'll get back to you. But in the meantime, I'll get that report from Phil for you and make sure it's disseminated amongst the rest of the council members for them to read on what zones are in play, what zones are just, what's the word, kind of just sitting there. And some areas that the planning department may have been thinking and might be something really good to exercise that thought process on what other areas in town could use rehabilitation. There's several, or redevelopment. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other comments from council members? Thank you, Mayor, for passing over the information to JCP&L to address the lights on Franklin.
Yeah. There's a few lights out, and there's a light out across from Starbucks that I've complained about a few times. We will check the parking lot, whether we find out if it's our lights or JCP&L lights, and have that addressed tomorrow. And so we'll get right on that. Lights do go out, boom, and sometimes they go out like in 2 or 3 at a time. And if we could have our DPW or engineering do a night sweep of the town, of all the lights, especially the partnership lights, up and down all the business district, the streets, and just make sure we get a count of any lights that are out, because we pay for those. And we want to make sure that we're getting what we pay for, and make sure that JCP&L fixes the lights, puts them back on. Next.
Thank you.
You want me to do my...
Yes, moving on to
All right.
Mayor.
I'm going to ask Councilman Michael Elms to start it off with an announcement of a project that he's bringing forward to the town, which I think is really cool. So go ahead, Michael.
Thank you. So about 2 weeks ago, a resident of Morristown called me and reached out. This was during the time that we had that incredible cold snap, and people were really struggling to keep their houses warm. Some people were without heat. Plumbers couldn't keep up with the demand of getting over and servicing calls. So a friend of mine, a fellow that I've known for 4 or 5 years, he actually owns a national firewood distribution company, and he had the idea of donating a truckload of firewood to Morristown residents. So it actually was supposed to happen today, but it got delayed because of the rain. So we've postponed it and rescheduled it for Thursday, January 25th at 11 a.m. But essentially, it's going to be an 18-wheeler full of palletized firewood. And here's a picture of what it looks like. It's basically a tree trunk with cuts in the middle of it, and then a little like Duraflame bit in the middle where you can just light it with a single match, and it lights right up, and then it burns from the inside out and lasts for about 3 hours. So there's a very generous donation that he's made, and it's welcome. It's open to every resident of the town of Morristown. The firewood will be in the parking lot behind Town Hall beginning Thursday at 11 a.m. And it's not cold today, but it will be cold next week or next month. And if you need some, come and take what you think is appropriate, and others will do the same.
Thanks, you, Councilman. It is a generous gift, and it was cold a couple weeks ago. I mean, it was cold. Thursday.
Just Thursday the 25th at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's we thank Michael. Thank you very much, and please, I won't be here during the day, but please send my thanks to your friend for doing that. I'm going to make sure my 2 neighbors, one to the left and one to the right, who love to burn wood, know about it, and rest assured that 17 degrees is coming again in just one night. It's going to get cold again at night. Let's hope we don't get to those below 0 temperatures that we experienced for a couple of weeks. It's not normal. Okay, couple quick things. I just want to let everybody know that we all know that we're going to have a big change in the fire department. 3 captains are going to be coming forward. But I want to announce that Fire Captain Richard McCuskey is retiring after 31 years. And also Police Officer Carmen Capernagro of 25 years is retiring. So we're going to wish them good luck, and their retirements will be as of February 1st. On the 15th, the 33rd Annual Interfaith Breakfast and MLK Martin Luther King Commemorative Services at the Hyatt Morristown took place. It was very well attended. Council President, Councilman Silva, Councilwoman Hillary Davis.
I go by Cinderella now.
Cinderella. I just went blank for a second. Stefan, I don't know if you didn't make it. So it was well attended. It was a very moving, in this day and time, a very moving speech. And a youth speaker that spoke was amazing.
Yes.
So we thank everybody for coming out for that. Now, briefly, I will touch on what took place on the 20th. And thank you for coming here and saying a few words. I've experienced a lot of things in this town over the last 30 years. I have never experienced anything like what I experienced Saturday. The police, DPW, special services, all the different organizations and police departments from all over this county, their chiefs. I met a lot of chiefs. A lot of officers tried to thank as many as we could. A lot of people were thanking the police on the street. You women put a great organization and a march together that will go down in history in Morristown. And I'm just glad I was part of it and got to experience it. There's really not a lot of words that one can say other than there were a lot of women in the House of Morristown. And we appreciate every bit of what you stand for and what the outcome of this movement is going to do. And we just want to thank everybody who was involved in it, and thank you for coming. Thanks for the coffee yesterday and the bagels, and we're very appreciative. And thank you for your donation back. That is very much appreciated, that you would take the money and give it back. Not just us, but to the Green, and to help offset the costs of our police department and what they did. They really are to be commended. If the chief and I sometimes have differences, but when it comes to crowd control and putting stuff like this together, there's no better guy to have in that place. He is national recognized for his ability to do crowd control and put this stuff together, and we saw the results of it Saturday. So again, Chief, thank you for what you did. Thank you for what you did, and if it ever comes again, we'll be here with open arms to welcome you again. Again, thank you. Wednesday, that is tomorrow, 6 to 8 p.m., partnership sponsors and friend reception at the Hyatt. Free food, free cocktails. Go mingle with the partnership. Everyone should go if they have the availability to go, from 6 to 8 tomorrow night at the Hyatt. And on Saturday, February 10th, 10 a.m. to noon, Cupid's Chase 5K. We'll be at Speedwell, Early, Colonial, Kenmure, Mills, Ralph, Willard, Frederick, Mills, and Early. So I'm assuming you'll get your email blasts out to your constituents. And that is going to be February 10th, 5K. And again, Speedwell, Early, Colonial, Kenmure, Mills, Ralph, Willard, Frederick to Mills, and Early. That is 2 more things. And then I want to bring up the Chief of Police. This was put in front of me at table. Madam Clerk, did I miss signing something? So am I not officially the mayor?
You're officially the mayor. That's just the paperwork that comes with it.
Well, I'll sign that right here so there's witnesses.
Thank you.
That didn't sign the Pledge of Allegiance to the Office of Allegiance and Oath for when I got sworn in by Senator Cory Booker. I don't want to miss that. And Now, also, there's a community meeting notice that's going to be held on the 31st of January with the police chief, Peter Demens, myself. Topics will include home safety, security, prevention tips and measures on burglary, police presence and response, and Q&A sessions. That's going to be Wednesday the 31st, 6:30 p.m. here at our senior center. That'll be posted on the website. And we look forward people to attending to have any questions and hear some security measures of our chief of police and what he recommends. So we all know through reading articles in the newspaper and comments from the business administrator, some comments I made in the newspaper of a tragic event that took place a few days ago. So I'd like the police chief to come up and just share a few minutes of the policing aspect of where they did, where they are, what they did, and how they got where they're at.
Good evening. I truly hope this comes out in the manner that I wish it to. I've been thinking about this. This has been spinning in my head since I got a phone call last night about the article in the Daily Record. Almost 35 years, it takes a lot to get my blood pumping. On the positive side, 18,000 women and their supporters looking over the roof of this building and seeing a job well done by the Morristown Police, Morris County Sheriff's Department, a bunch of towns around the county, fire department, DPW, that gets my blood pumping. On the negative side, I have never walked in this building and seen so much anger displayed by police officers as I did this morning. And I have a few questions. They're not rhetorical questions. Peggy, I have known you for maybe 20 or 30 years. And you write too little, too late, say some, when it came to responding to a sexual assault. And I have a question for you, Peggy. We worked through the homicide of a 10-year-old boy. We've worked through a white supremacist march, immigration march, and countless crimes in this town. I don't know if you could ever say that the Morristown Bureau of Police did too little. You did not do enough work to find out what we did for each and every one of those burglaries when they were first reported. My detectives, my police officers are angry because when the first burglaries were reported in November, we responded. We responded as we always do. We canvassed the neighborhood. We didn't just meet with the building manager. We sat down with the building manager, not only as an investigative tool, but also to try to keep people safe and give them tips. We did the same thing in December with the second set of burglaries. As far as Ms. Deeb, and I apologize, Stefan, but I've known you a long time, and there's only one person on this council that doesn't have my phone number, and I believe it's David Silva.
Correct.
Only because we haven't had an issue yet. Anybody and everybody can call me and find out what we do as a police department. I would have told you, as I told the mayor. He talks about our differences, and I told Ms. Barrick. As soon as the Morris County Prosecutor's Office takes over a case, a serious case like that sexual assault was, we are legally bound not to talk. But I will tell you this, and we cannot put out a press release, but I am briefed by my people. And I knew what was going on with that investigation. And I knew that the community at large was safe because my detectives knew where that person was. I know the position that all of you are in. I happen to work a library extra duty job, and I was approached by a librarian who works in that building. Same thing. Someone got hurt. I need to know what's going on. I said to her what all of you can say. I understand how you feel. I will call the police chief and I will find out what I can. And then call me up and I'll tell you what I can tell you. And that is that the Morristown Bureau of Police and the Morris County Prosecutor's Office are prioritizing this case, and we're working hard to make an arrest. And I will tell you that the community at large is safe because I will have the information of where that suspect is. And if the community isn't safe, I'll tell you that too. I'll tell you we don't know where this guy is, and we need to take extra measures. Peggy, like I said, you have angered a lot of police officers because they do their job every day. I think you need to talk to these two women right here and ask them if the Morristown Bureau of Police ever does too little. Excuse me.
No comments from the public.
I understand journalistic license. I understand what sells newspapers. But I'm saying straight up, just wrong. Because you're a pro. You know what you have to do, and you know how to get the information. You didn't get the information, and you decide to make up a story. Stefan, please, all of you, please, talk to Hillary, talk to Toshiba. I think you've called me once or twice. You've called me once. Call me.
I call you all the time.
You call me all the time. I'm not, I don't, honestly, I'm a passionate guy. My cops are as passionate as me. They work hard. The manner in which that article reads, they're sensitive people. The manner in which that article reads is somehow the Morristown Bureau of Police didn't do their job and it resulted in a sexual assault. And that is simply wrong.
Chief, if you could, would you describe for the council the protocol and the process that was gone through for the burglaries that occurred in November and December?
I thought I did, but I was seeing red, so I don't exactly remember what I said. Each and every burglary, a uniformed officer responds. That is followed up by a detective. Depending on how many burglaries, how serious, the detective might be there 2 minutes, might be 2 days. It depends. It's prioritized. In these particular cases, because in one building 2 apartments were hit, in another building 3 were hit, we sent a detective right away. We do what's called a canvass. We talk to the victim interview, we talk to people on the upper floors, lower floors, and adjacent. In this particular case as well, we talked to, not just notified the building manager, we sat down with the building manager. And we get certain pieces of evidence which I cannot speak to because we don't try cases in the paper. But we know that the building manager will have information for us. In both cases, we met with building managers. In the second set, we were aware that that building manager had 2 other buildings that he managed. So that information was passed on to those buildings and those residents. We engaged in notifications. We did.
Chief, can you also describe how you make the determination about what level of advisories is necessary in a community when with regard to incidents that occur in town?
Sure. I've been around a long time. My parents grew up here, and I can tell you that there's always that debate about how much information we should put out there. As a law enforcement professional, if there's one burglary, I want a press release. Why do I want a press release? I want a press release because I figure I'm dealing with a pro. And if a pro did well and had proceeds from a burglary, say on Dogwood Road, he's coming back. I don't wait. I don't want to wait for 2 or 3 burglaries. But I will tell you, the people that I've dealt with over the years, the business community, the Morristown Partnership, the Hyatt Hotel, they don't want me to put out a press release for every burglary. So yeah, if there's a series of burglaries, if there's a burglary where some other crime occurred, like we've had it in the past where the burglar was surprised and not as bad things happen, we'll start putting out press releases. But it's always a conversation. It's always a balance. I've talked to council people in the past. I've talked to mayors in the past that did not want press releases to go out. They just wanted the general area to be notified. It's a decision. It's a decision I have to make based on all the information that's presented to me. I generally present it to my administration, and we make a decision in the best interest of everybody.
Questions?
Thank you, Chief.
That's it, Chief. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on now to, and thank you, Chief, for coming before us and giving us that information. Moving on to report of mayors and town officials, which is in essence council liaison reports. So at this time, are there any council liaison reports?
I actually missed the last parking authority meeting. However, at that meeting, there were a couple more requests for parking allocation of spots from the Parking Authority, and the Parking Authority is working on a clearer methodology to present to the planning board with those applications.
As the mayor mentioned a few moments ago, tomorrow night at the Hyatt is the Morristown Partnership.
Sorry.
That's all right. Morristown Partnership Sponsor and Friends Reception. It's a very nice event. I've gone probably the last 3 years running, and it's a great way to go out and meet local business owners and see what the partnership is up to at the Hyatt.
Thank you. Anything on planning board or housing? No? All right, any calendar of events? I know we've heard from the mayor and
I was just going to follow up in regard to the free firewood for the Morristown residents. I was just doing a little math on my phone here. The truck, the 18-wheeler that's coming, is going to have 54 pallets on it, and each pallet will have 32 logs. So that's 1,728 pieces of firewood. So, you know, there's 28,000 people in Morristown, so it might go fast if we can get the word out and notify everybody. So about 1,700 pieces of wood for free to everybody. That's it.
No, I was just thinking, if Chris and Ace is gonna.
Oh. The wood is imported from Latvia.
Is it really?
It's birch, yeah.
Oh, wow. It's good burning wood.
It's great.
all right, moving on to regular business.
Okay, this evening we have two ordinances for introduction. Ordinance number 2-2018, an ordinance of the Town of Morristown and the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, amending Ordinance 18-2017, establishing compensation for management/non-union positions in the Town of Morristown, New Jersey, and amending all ordinances concerning such compensation heretofore adopted. Can I have a motion to introduce?
I'll make a motion.
Second. Okay. Ordinance 2-2018 has been properly introduced. Are there any comments or questions from the council? Okay, hearing none. On motion?
Probably just for the record, for the public, you may want to explain why. I think you did a very good job in an analysis on this, but I think just for the public record, you may want to explain.
Certainly. Thank you, Councilman. The Code Enforcement Director position's been vacant for over a year, and in seeking the right candidate for a replacement, it became clear that the salary range that's currently in place, it goes from $75,000 to $95,000, really is not commensurate with the responsibility of the position, and is not on par and parity with other similar positions that already exist within the town. So in order to ensure that we are competitive with the type of talent we're looking for to fill this position, and to make sure that it's on par with other similar positions in town, I've proposed that the salary range be raised to $115, from $85 to $115, which is before you. The questions were asking me, is this, have you benchmarked this position? And my answer is somewhat, but I answer that because code enforcement and property maintenance departments are different in every town. Many towns have a very robust code enforcement agency like we do here. Others have a less robust agency. Some include health, some don't. Some include zoning, some don't. So they're all very different, and it's hard to compare from town to town. But still, relative to our existing staff, relative to agencies of a similar size in other neighboring towns, the salary range of $85 to $115 is appropriate for this position.
Thank you. And I also like to thank you for all of the questions, answering all of the questions, because I know I got copied on some of the emails, and you were very thorough in getting the information back to council members, and you provided the job description, which I think is very helpful for council members to make an informed decision. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Any others? Okay, on motion made, I will take a roll call. Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Council President Foster?
Yes.
Okay. The public hearing for ordinance 2-2018 will be held on February 13th at 7:30 PM. We also have ordinance number 3-2018, an ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the town of Morristown, Chapter 7, Traffic, Section 40-2, entitled Handicap Parking on Streets for Private Residences, to add dedicated handicap parking space for a resident of 16 Phoenix Avenue.
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay. Ordinance 3-2018 has been introduced properly. Are there any comments or questions from the council? Okay, on motion made, I will take a roll call. Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Foster?
Yes.
The public hearing for ordinance number 3-2018 will be held on February 13th at 7:30 PM. Next on the agenda is ordinance 1-2018, which is scheduled for public hearing and adoption this evening. It is an ordinance of the town of Morristown amending and supplementing Chapter 5 entitled Animal Control. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay. Oh, thank you. I will now open the floor to any comments or questions from the public. Any? Okay, hearing none, I will close the public portion of the hearing and do something else right away that I can't think of. Take a roll call.
Roll call.
Okay, sorry. I got carried away. On motion made, Councilman Armington.
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis.
Yes.
Councilman Elms.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
And Council President Foster.
Yes.
Motion carries and ordinance 1-2018 is adopted. Thank you for your patience. We had 6 resolutions originally on the agenda this evening. However, administration has requested that we remove 37-2018 from the agenda, leaving the remaining 5. Council President, would you like those considered en masse?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we go ahead and we remove 37. However, council members, we're going to add 42, resolution number 42, and I believe council members want to pull that for separate discussion.
Separate consideration? Okay. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Foster?
Yes.
Okay. I need a motion to adopt resolution number 42-18, please.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
Comments?
Sorry, was 42 added at table?
Yes.
So is that, okay.
Is that okay? Can I open up the floor for comments, questions, and discussion?
I just want to make sure that it was officially added and it wasn't, if the resolution is just added at table, do we have to formally add it or no?
Yeah, the one
Yes, I
said
believe that
we
was
go
part of
by
the motion to amend the agenda to add 42.
Add 42.
Okay, and we added 42. Okay,
Right.
I got it, sorry.
All right. So we can now move forward, because we're going to vote on it en masse, but we're going to pull resolution 42 for a separate discussion. All right, so I'd like to make a motion to move or approve all of the the resolutions, starting with 36, going to 38, 39, 40, 41.
That's it. Thank you.
Need a
A second? Okay. Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Foster?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, now, moving on to Resolution 42, I'd like to make a motion.
Didn't we already,
to adopt.
we already did that.
Second.
We added it, but we didn't approve it.
Okay, I'm sorry. So now there's a motion to, got it, okay. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Councilman Armington?
Wait,
No,
just a
we have
question.
discussion. He wants to have discussion on 40. So you have questions
Okay.
for administration?
Yes,
Sorry.
sorry. What do we think this is going to cost? I see there's a not-to-exceed contract of $10,000. I'm just wondering, we could meet here for 2 hours, and what would that cost versus paying someone else to do it? I would just want to get, what do we think?
I don't anticipate a long hearing, and the reason why we should go this route is because that's what our ordinance calls for.
Okay.
It requires the council to appoint a hearing officer via resolution. Last time it was a little different because the person, the tow company, wanted to move forward quickly and wanted to do it before the council. But in my opinion, I think it's wise to just follow what our code requires and have a separate hearing officer.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't aware that that's what it was required, so I have no other comments.
Any other?
Any other questions?
Okay, I'll take a roll call. Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Foster?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, moving on to unfinished or old business. The Housing Authority appointment, I had this added to the agenda again because I know that there's a vacancy currently on the board, and so I know we have a subcommittee that consists of Councilman Iannacone, Councilwoman Davis, and Allison, who's actually not here with us, but I just wanted to get an update. I think in speaking to you guys individually, you've identified some candidates that you want to present to council members, so I don't have a list of those names, so I don't know who you guys want us to consider.
Hillary and I had gotten together,
Yeah.
and I actually had a review with Allison, and we did narrow it down to 4 people, and we thought what we would do to help the efficiency is recommend to the council that if the council wants to avail themselves to interview these 4 people themselves, we've met with most of them, except for one. But if they wanted to also avail themselves to interview, maybe we can do that before the next meeting.
All right, so are you council members, are you okay with just maybe doing a phone call? You want to do a phone call, or do you want to do it by way of interview? So that we can try to have the clerk set something up for us if we're going to have actual interviews with the candidates.
This is just for one position?
I believe so, because the other one, I think, is the governor's appointment.
Yeah.
Does the committee have a preference
I
for
like to meet
2?
people, to
We
be
kind of narrowed
honest.
it down to 2.
Yeah.
Ideally, if we had 2,
We
then
thought we'd put 2 more on there
Right.
just in case folks wanted to interview more.
Right.
Well, I think that was the whole point of the committee, to essentially come to the council with a recommendation.
If you like, we could come back at the next council meeting with a recommendation for 1.
Okay.
Okay, we will do that.
All right. No problem.
All right. Well, thank you. And the other item on the old unfinished business was pedestrian safety, which was listed on here by Councilwoman Deeb, and she's not here.
The clerk wants to disseminate information. She had asked pedestrian accidents on the intersection of Maple and James, and for 2017, 1.
Oh,
1.
okay. Marva, can you,
2014 was the last one.
can you make sure Councilwoman gets
Certainly.
That information.
Okay. And then I just wanted to speak very quickly under new business for something that we've started with the administration in talking to Councilman Stefan and Iannacone. We talked a little bit briefly about some of the outstanding issues that we like to try to, keep a handle on. So I created this administrative log, and I've worked with the clerk and with Business Administrator Jillian, so that whenever there's an outstanding issue or follow-up that we need to have reported back to us for the council meetings, we'll just add them on this. It'll be a working log. It's not anything that we have to discuss every council meeting, but, you know, we can just go in, or the administration will go in and update it, so this will always be a part of the council package, and when there's issues that we need to verbally address, we'll verbally address it. Other than that, if you put an issue on the log, you just refer to the log just to see if the administration has had, you know, any updates or provided any updates. So if you looked at your council package, you'll see that there were 2 items that were listed. Headley property was number 1, and that was reported by Bob as something that we left that was outstanding from last year, as well as item number 2, which is the purchase of the MLK property. And so this is just something that we'll just use, you know, throughout the year, and we'll just use this as like a issues tracking log.
Did we sell that lot?
I'll discuss it with the business administrator. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I'll discuss it with her on as far as what we disseminate. The MLK, Bob, which I'm really happy that you brought
No,
up.
Headley. Did we ever sell Headley, do you recall? I think we did, didn't we, Headley?
No.
No.
Let me address this, Veej.
There it is.
All right. I tried to purchase that through the town council several years ago, and it was not well received by some council members, so it became the MLK became an issue, a battle to try to purchase that property that had been vacant forever. I understand that it went under contract 4 months ago, 6 months ago?
We're talking about MLK.
MLK.
Yes.
So if it is not sold, and there is interest in this council, I would love to sit with you guys and talk about it again and possibly purchase it. My idea for that was a group of nonprofits, take a dilapidated property for decades that has been vacant. The structure's there, so when you get close to a river, it's hard to build the structure now with all the DEP regulations. So that structure is basically there. So it could give us a foundation to work with different organizations and do some community work there with some grants, maybe drug court, maybe some different opportunities to help people. So that was my idea back then. It wasn't well received. It was became a battle, and didn't work out. But if there's a possibility of that being still available, I would love to sit and talk to the council about the purchase of that property.
I thought there was some issues with them. It was sort of pending an environmental review, and the environmental review came up bad. Is that what we're talking about?
No, the environmental cleanup was X. That wasn't the issue. The issue was people from the public came to, if I remember correctly, came to speak against it, against the town purchasing it. There was a couple of council members, I'm not going to name who, were adamant that that wasn't going to happen. So there comes a time where you just stop fighting. So, but I would love to ask the town attorney to reach out to talk to that if the council's okay with it, just to see if that property is available. And if it is available, come back with a price and the cleanup cost and see what you guys think about it. I think there's real opportunities. Plus, the money we're investing in Martin Luther King Boulevard to bring about change and investment into a part of the community that hadn't been invested in years. Not that we wanted to. We got stonewalled for several years in my early years as mayor. That is just another piece of property that we can renovate and maybe use to enhance a part of our community in different ways. And there's a lot of people that have a lot of interest in doing some really good work. So it's just something that if we can do through grants and work with maybe other agencies. I don't want to name who because, you know, the press is here. I don't want to start naming names who would maybe get on board. But if it's available, I would just love to make a presentation to you. And just let you think about purchase of a property that I think can, again, bring back what we're trying to do with Martin Luther King Boulevard. And if you have been down there at night and you see the lights and the part of that boulevard that is now done, you see a transformation happening. And I think that can lend to something really positive and good for a piece of property that has been vacant for
26 years.
26 years. Just food for thought.
That's a good thought, actually.
And
actually, it's that whole stretch of the Whippany River, because that whole bend in the river is really beautiful, could be such a beautiful location.
Yeah, and then,
in a town
well, part of that
around.
streetscape with
You could
MLK.
look at maybe even the whole.
Well, where the Jolie House is, that's going to be park. So where that house came down, that whole area that flooded, that's all going to be park. And this all lends to the whole continuing to go down MLK to Spring. And there's still work to be done. We still have a whole nother year of work, but part of that boulevard has been done. And it really, people, I don't know if it was Councilwoman Davis, when you were coming back from JFK, and would you explain, say what they
I
said?
was like, this is such a beautiful, it's so well lit and so beautiful. And I just kind of smiled because it hadn't been like that in many, many, many years.
So I think we're heading in the right direction, and I would love to, you know, we may have missed the boat on it, but let the lawyer ask and inquire, and then I'll come back to you guys. But I'm so happy you brought that up. You have no idea. No idea.
Okay, and Headley.
Yes, so we have been exploring some different methods of marketing the property since it's been marketed twice in a more traditional government marketing method without success. So I expect to have something before you. If not the next council meeting, then certainly the second meeting in February.
All right. And I mean, again, it's not to track everything, just like pieces of.
I'll let you know. We'll take this internally, and I'll let you know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Don't cut me off. No.
I'm cutting you off. I said it. I'll take it internally, and we'll discuss it internally, because I don't want to get into it now, but every meeting you could bring up the same thing every meeting, and it becomes redundant when nothing's happening, and just because it's on a sheet. And, you know, I get you want to be in everything that's going on, and we try to give you everything that's going on in a very early stage, but we'll take this into consideration, look at it, see how it would work, and then work with the council with it.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right. I don't know if any council members have any questions about correspondence. I mean, everything was in the council packet, so if not, then I'd like to make a minutes. Oh, sorry, I missed the minutes. I forgot to.
Yeah, I'd like to apologize to the council. The minutes should be part of the consent agenda approved at the very start of the meeting. For some reason, they were generated as their own subtitle, but that will be fixed going forward. So I will take a motion to accept the minutes as written.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Councilman Armington?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Elms?
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
And Council President Foster?
Yes.
Just a
Motion
quick question
carries.
on the minutes.
Yes, sir.
We have a gap in the minutes, as you know, a big gap. What's the plan?
We have sorted through numerous meeting files that were located around the clerk's office. We have narrowed down the 2017, have them all together, and have started to create those minutes starting this week.
Okay, thank you.
Keep up the hard work.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
All right.
Opposed? We are adjourned.